Space, the final frontier. Well, okay, not really. All right, take two. Here in the Mitten State, welcome to Code 47, bringing you all things Star Trek, spanning the quadrants, the best thing since the neutral zone.
Hello there, my fair Trekkers. Welcome back to the Code 47 podcast on the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. This is episode 177. I am your humble servant, Trek Lord of West Michigan, Charlie Carden, joined as always by my number one in the Star Trek world, Peter Stein. Peter, good morning to you.
Good morning.
All right. Well, we got a great show for you. We're rambling on. We're moving on to talk about another great episode of Random Episode, our segment. And this is going to be that, which is going to go on hiatus after this because we have new content coming back our way. Strange New Worlds season 4 is going to start on July 23, which is the week in which you're listening to this, most likely, if you're getting it when it comes out. So we're super psyched about that. We've got a slate, as we often do, of superstar guest stars that are going to join Peter and myself to record on those episodes in 2-episode blocks because, again, we come out every other week. So, yeah, we're looking forward to that. And then we have our last segment of Top 5, Bottom 5 of the ended shows, the shows that have retired, as it were, and that would be Star Trek Prodigy. Going to be kind of interesting because, again, I just started rewatching this after our conversation with the absolutely exceptional Bonnie Gordon a little bit earlier this year when we had her on the spotlight. But I didn't continue. With me, with the ADD, somebody jingles keys or a blue car goes by and then I'm watching something else. So I know I did not make it to the end of season 1 watching them again, but I had some fair musings and we'll jump into that. So yeah, it'll be good stuff. But regular stuff we want to go through. We want to welcome people joining us via the Trek Geeks network, of which we've been members of for a couple of weeks now. So if you're being redirected from that website or from their social medias, welcome to our network. We've been recording since 2020. We got obviously 176 episodes prior to this one, but we have managed to discuss every episode of Star Trek in the time that Peter and I have been doing this. So we're super psyched about that. We're glad to have you join us. Please feel free to go back and enjoy our other podcasts as well. We've got other great podcasts concerning general pop culture, topic of the week, which is called Secret Friends Unite. Oops, All Thunderdome, which is the classic topic segment of our old show before we rebooted last year. We have a Star Wars podcast called The Holocron Chronicles. And as I had previously mentioned, we have a great interview segment where we interview actors, writers, and other creatives in the pop culture space. And we've had some absolutely incredible people, approaching now 100 interviews that we've done over on that show. So we'd love to have you join us there. And if you really enjoy what you hear, we do have a Patreon over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite, where we have exclusive programs, including what is now winding down to the wrap up of Ron Mower's Battlestar Galactica, which is a personal favorite, Peter and myself, which you can find exclusively there. All of our shows come out early there. So this show, for example, comes out on a Monday for the general public, but the patrons get it on the weekend prior, and an exclusive channel on our Discord. The first week is free for anybody. You can stay a free member if that's what you want to do, but if you stay on board with audio benefits, your first month is half off. And monthly moving forward, just as little as $2 a month. So we would absolutely love to have you try us out in our bonus content and all that kind of great stuff. Patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Peter, we were talking in the pre-roll, not a ton of news. We do have San Diego Comic-Con happening the week that we're coming out. And Paramount and CBS will be in full force with the gang from Strange New Worlds, which comes out on the 23rd of July. So this same week. So the timing is really great. I don't know that we've had any other news. You'd mentioned something about the potential of a new Lego set coming out. I saw it. I think the TOS Bridge. Is that what you saw as well?
That is what I've been hearing, but there's no definitive anything on that. So
right. And to be honest with you, I'll probably take a pass on that one simply because my big interest is the scale bridge that our friend Brian Volk-Weiss and the people over at Nacelle are going to turn out. If I'm going to have a TOS bridge, it's going to be that one because it's going to go with my TOS characters.
Oh, yeah. That's
So yeah, but I'm super psyched to have, and I know that you now have the Lego Enterprise D, because I'm just glad to see TNG getting the love over TOS after all these years of, TOS just keeps getting older. I mean, TNG gets older too, but it's not as old, and it's a little bit more near and dear to my heart, because that was my first, real Star Trek I dug in from the beginning. So, but yeah, as far as other news goes by, I've been lucky, very, very privileged, thanks to the folks at CBS and Paramount, that I've had a screener of the first 6 episodes of the 4th season of Strange New Worlds. And I've got to tell you, after a pretty rocky 3rd season, and we talked about that obviously last year with our regular kind of cast of characters and Peter and myself, is that we had some kind of questionable choices, episode wise, and things that maybe we weren't crazy about. From the first episode of this, and Peter, you'll be watching this later this week. I love that first episode. Thought it was a super cool take. I did not see anything like that coming up. You had a great guest actress as the guest star in that. You're going to be blown away. I think you're really going to like it. Do keep in mind, Strange New Worlds is available exclusively to subscribers of Paramount Plus, which is available as a standalone service, and then also available from places like Prime, et cetera, et cetera. So I highly recommend it. Peter, any big hopes for you for season 4 of Strange New Worlds, since we're on the topic?
I'm just kind of hoping that we see a little bit more of Pike being the captain rather than getting sidelined.
Right.
And I'm hoping that we do a little bit less of Spock the whipping boy. So
that does seem to be a leitmotif. Well, I can't really speak to that because I don't want to give anything away. But again, I felt really strongly about this batch of 6 episodes. I think they cover a lot of different genres. They go in a lot of different directions, episode to episode, and keep in really in lockstep with the episodic nature of the show, which is something that after Picard and Discovery and other shows that were really locked into a single theme for a single season, they tend to do a lot. So so I'm psyched about that. All right, one last plug before we move on and start talking about our random episodes. Part of the Trek Geeks family is the Awesome Business fan sets. We love them. Peter and I really dig it. If you're watching us on video, which you aren't because we do audio, I always have a fan set badge magnetized to the arm of my microphone because Peter and I, as customers, which you've ever seen any of our social media, I dropped just this morning our great Star Trek The Next Generation photo shoot that we did back in May. Some absolutely great photos. But any time that you see us wearing any kind of badge, Delta, Com badge, whatever it is, it's a fan sets magnet. And even on our Monster Maroon uniforms, that's what we use. So that's great. Family-owned business, Lou and Amity, husband and wife out of Colorado. And I would say, without a doubt, any serious cosplayer or customer is a term I prefer, use them pretty much exclusively, either as a magnet because it doesn't screw up your outfit, or as a pin kind of where it's appropriate. And they've got other great fun pins and different designs to enjoy, many of which, like I've had when we went to Star Trek Las Vegas, I won some trivia competitions, and I have a bunch that are kind of pinned all over my house. Absolutely. And April does in her office as well. The great news is you can use the code TrekGeeks, all caps, no spaces, for 10% off your entire order. Lets them know that you're feeling the love from the Trek Geeks Network. And this is something that I enjoy, that I really enjoy. If you spend more than $30, which is really, that's 2 pins right there, over at fansets.com, you automatically get free shipping within the United States. So highest recommendation to the folks over there at Fansets. We absolutely love you. And they will, of course, have a table at Star Trek Las Vegas if you're attending that event next month. Peter and I are not. But do go tune in. You'll also have the chance to meet some other people, like our friend Bill Smith, who runs our Trek Geeks Network, will be there at that table. So go check them out. All right. Peter, random episode. We're back to Voyager, which I felt like it's been a while since we really drilled down on a solo episode of this show. But this takes us back to season 3. And I mentioned this on my notes, but I'll drop it now. This comes in the kind of the lower. This is in the last half of the season. So this is episode 17 of season 3, called Unity. Is coming from a time when I was tuning back into the show after taking a slight hiatus at the beginning of season 3 when I was watching the show, and I was like, maybe this just really isn't the show for me. I wasn't really enjoying the direction they were going in, but I definitely had some thoughts about this one. Episode was chosen randomly by our friend Ellie Littlechild of Trek Culture, who was going to join us. We had a scheduling conflict, unfortunately, which is a bummer because she's also the biggest Prodigy fan I know. So Ellie, sorry you didn't make it. We would love to have you back at some time in the near future. But anyway, episode summary: Chakotay is injured and trapped on a world where the inhabitants are embroiled in a conflict, not giving anything away. But the people who rescue and care for him are harboring a disturbing secret. This was written by longtime Voyager scribe Kenneth Biller, directed by our buddy Robert Duncan McNeil, Robbie. In one of his early efforts in his not only Voyager directing, but also his directing career. His first segment, I believe, was in early season 3. I think Sacred Ground was was when he was breaking into directing. This is from February 12 of 1997, or just a few weeks before my 21st birthday. Oh my God. Wow. When I was, and being that I was a college student at the time, I had never taken a drink before I turned 21.
Nice.
Right. All right, Peter, I've done all this talking for the last 10 minutes. It's your turn. Talk to me about this episode.
All right. So this episode, we get another kind of red shirt moment at the beginning, which I thought was kind of funny.
Red shirt, gold shirt. What's red and gold together? Like golden rod?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of funny. It's like, oh, look, we have
an ensign.
Disposable gold shirt ensign.
That's the exact word I would look. Hey, look, disposable ensign. And I also think I remember there were 2 ensign Kaplans on Voyager, and then there was. So this is kind of the Highlander moment, because you're assuming the other guy or girl, she's a woman. I don't know if the other one is a woman, but I think if you go to Memory Alpha and type in ensign Kaplan, you'll get like disambiguation because there's 2 people. Mm-hmm. So anyway.
Yeah. So we get they get a distress call. They go there. They beam down after they've been flying in circles, apparently, because they're lost.
Right.
It's kind of cute. Which is one of those like, okay, it's funny, but
why not? Right.
It's like, track that asteroid field. We've passed it 3 times. Oh no!
Oh my God! Yeah, right.
So they
you in charge here?
So they beam down on the planet and immediately get beset by people with Romulan disruptors, which is interesting.
Right. That was definitely a note that I had. Romulan disruptors, and I'm like, where do they come from? But we'll get more on that.
The phaser sounds are really weird in that scene.
Right.
Like the hand phasers were not using the correct sound effect.
And some of the other like the weapon that Chakotay gets shot by, because obviously we lose the ensign. We know, we already talked about that. But when Chakotay she gets shot and goes down and just like, oh, dead. But Chakotay gets shot by what's like a cannon sniper rifle, and when it shoots him, it's like this big like green energy field, and then he's injured and he gets like a creepy vine thing going to, like down the non-tattoo side of his face. He gets like a creeper vine thing going to, it's very bizarre.
Yeah. It's very strange. And then he wakes up and he's got this lady looking over him, and it's like, oh, you were hurt, but we saved you. Just
so far a little bit.
And then eventually it comes out that like she used to be part of the Federation, but she was kidnapped by aliens.
And this leads to one of my least favorite cliches, which I'll talk about when we get to that part of the episode.
Yeah.
You know what it is.
Yeah. I think at this point we go back to back to Voyager, and they're like, oh, we don't see our friends. Where are they?
And Tom's bitching, oh man, they should call this a negative expense because it's so boring. And that's kind of like the kid in the backseat of a car bitching, like, are we there yet? Yeah,
and then Janeway's like, well, there's latrine duty that can be done, and Tom is like, well,
I gotta go to waste extraction.
It's so really interesting up here.
Oh,
yeah, okay.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Quit your bitching.
It was a pretty funny scene, but it was very goofy.
Yeah. And they come across, dun, 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 dead in space, a Borg cube. Now, this is the first Borg cube we've seen. Now, we did see a Borg skeleton at the end of either the last episode or the one before. It was the one with Vorik the Vulcan, who had the premature Ponfar, and then he had to fight B'Elanna in the Kunat Caliphate. But at the end of that, they're like, hey, we got to leave the planet, but I got to show you something. And it was a Borg skeleton, which was the first Borg appearance in Voyager.
Yes.
And this was the first television appearance of the new fancy Borg that we got a few months prior in First Contact, which released at the end of 1996.
Yep.
So to me, that kind of likened, 80s Borg and then actually early 90s Borg, because the last Borg appearance in TNG was Descents Part 1 and 2, and then we didn't see the Borg again. But this was kind of like TOS Klingons versus Star Trek the Motion Picture Klingons. Big upgrade. Fancier, scarier, more with them, more bleeps and blorps and more,
I mean, they're not. I don't know if they're that drastically different, but they are different.
From TNG to this, I think they're huge. They're pretty darn different.
I'm thinking of from like Descent. If you're looking at from like Who, there's a massive difference. But
no, all the ones in Descent basically look like it was the TNG Klingon look or the Borg look. And then when we got to First Contact, they were like, now they have all different bits and bobs, and they're a lot scarier, and they have their own theme music anytime they walk here. So anyway.
Yeah, but regardless, they find the Borg cube. They're like, oh shit, it's dead, but maybe we can, salvage stuff and take their technology and reverse engineer it, because, that never goes poorly.
Right. And then they take a corpse, and we get a good Bob Picardo line, and he says, there's nothing like the vacuum of space to preserve for a beautifully preserved course. And I love it how he gets the side eye from B'Elanna. He's like, what did you just say?
Yeah. And what's
B'Elanna. B'Elanna also had a great line prior to that, because they're in the conference room and talking like, well, what the hell happened? Blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, maybe it's this or that, or maybe they were defeated by a more powerful enemy. And I invoke the animated show Archer here. And I'm like, thanks, Freddie, foreshadowing, because it's just 10 episodes later that we meet that enemy.
Yeah, you and Dean.
I did note that this was the first time any of these characters have ever bumped into the Borg, because some, like B'Elanna, aren't even regular Starfleet, but they all seem to know how to, like, I'll tap into this thing because they're on the cube, and she's like, beep, 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 bop, bop, bop. I'm like, how do you know anything about Borg anything? Because you didn't even probably get to
Shelby.
Yeah, I was saying, you didn't even get to take the Borg class at Starfleet Academy, which was probably an elective. So but I thought, it's kind of like that, like, hey, the Starfleet people know everything all the time. Mm-hmm. So back on the planet, Chakotay is waking up, and he's sick, and he's like, I got to get out of my room, and he kind of, jimmies the lock or whatever by pushing a bunch of buttons. Very 90s, like he pushes a button and he pushes a screen, and the screen doesn't change, but it makes noises. And then he gets out and he's wandering around. I notice all of the people on this colony all have the same outfit, which is like, that's very typical of the future. It's like, oh, we're all wearing the same, whatever it is. And he stumbles upon
in this particular instance, it makes even more sense.
It does in a moment, because he stumbles upon some guy with a hook arm working on somebody, and turns around and it's his new girlfriend, and she's bald, Jerry. I invoked Seinfeld. She's bald. But yes, I did. But yeah, we do find out that there's a Borg replication. She's like, yes, we're all ex-Borg, and when we were part of that cube that we've all seen, but we escaped from there, and we started to regain our memory, and then we were able to remove Borg bits and start to take, our skin pigmentation came back. And so, then he mentioned Orem, who's the guy who was operating on her, still has a big hook arm. He's a Romulan. He's like, I used to be a Romulan, and, I was taught to hate you guys, but then now we're all pals now here, and blah, blah, blah. And I noted particularly that Chakotay's outfit, even for what they've been through, is really ratty. Like, he got shot and knocked down, but his, like, you see the red on his shoulders are really
all torn up. Yeah.
Really tore up. So I wrote, that was what I tentatively titled the episode, was the Walmart style replicator. It was like really cheap uniforms. So I'm like, I mean, and when he gets back to the ship, which happens in a little while here, he obviously replicates himself a nice one, but, But yeah, his ouchie keeps getting worse and worse. And so the bald chick is like, well, the only way we can fix you, because Voyager's not here yet. I assume they're coming, but they're not here. But you're going to die from blah, 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 whatever the hell it is. The only way that we can fix you is to plug you in to a group of like 7 or 8 of us. And by putting Borg, by you being part of the big Borg chat, we can heal you, which is like, well, that's convenient. I mean, there's the medical science there.
It was one of those things where it's like, we don't have a thorough explanation of how Borg regeneration works, so this is an explanation. It's not my favorite explanation, but it is.
It's very cult of the snake healers. Like, well, somebody hits you on the head. Jesus, bonk! What is that? Isn't that the faith healers? The people who are like, we got you.
Something like that, yeah. Where it's like, if we think hard enough, you'll feel better.
Right. I did think the Borg replicator, which obviously didn't give Chakotay a new outfit, was really good at making Chakotay's girlfriend that nice big flowing blonde wig that she's got. That was pretty cool. Yeah. But yeah, when you become Borg, you're bald permanently. So that was the one thing that cannot be reversed. You don't start growing.
Well, it depends on how long you've been Borg.
Right.
If it's fairly quick, you can get your hair back.
But as we saw
that happened with some other characters, but with other people.
But like 7 of 9, for example, who was Borg for like almost 20 years growing up, the Doctor was able to use follicle stimulators, and she has long, beautiful blonde hair. Yet he never altered his own programming to have hair, except for in that one future episode. So yeah, lots of stuff all over the time. So, but yeah, they fix him, and then while he's being fixed, he's seeing clip show time during
flashes of their lives.
Yeah. But also there was flashes of Bajor and exploding Klingon ships and all this different stuff. And so I guess it works, but it's also like super specific stuff from DS9 and TNG. So
yeah, it was best of both worlds. A lot of clips from that, and then various things from Deep.
And then
Riley, they were doing
Deep
Space Nine because they had Klingon stuff and they were Klingon characters. So
right, and then Riley is the name of his girlfriend, and then he was seeing like, oh, she's from Texas and blah blah blah, and here she is on the ranch and this and that. And then after it all wears off, she and Chakotay have a bond, so they start touching each other, and then you pull away. Okay. So they're obviously, they kind of are mutually doing stuff we won't mention. It gets real sexy and it goes commercial break.
Yep.
But yeah, I did write handy that the weapons that all the refugees have come right from the Paramount warehouse, because there's a Romulan phaser, which nobody would have. Oh, I forgot to mention my most hated cliche is that back when Chakotay uncovers that they're Borg, she says, yes, I was adapted from the Roosevelt, I think, at Wolf 359. And I'm like, no, you were not. All those people, if they didn't die and if they escaped in escape pods like Sisko did from his ship, that Borg cube then got blown up. But the obviously through the collective consciousness, the Borg queen on that ship beamed herself back to another body. But this chick would have gotten blown up and not somehow then ended up in the Delta Quadrant.
We think in such 3-dimensional terms. Who knows?
Yes. I mean, that works for her, but why would she have a body to beam to? So frustrating. So anyway, so then they end up back at the ship, and the big plan that they shared with Chakotay is they want to turn the Borg cube back on for 5 minutes and then beam happiness beams back to the planet to make all the refugees stop fighting with each other. And Janeway's like, well, I'm going to think about it, but it sounds like a terrible idea because we could turn the ship on and then obviously it's back to life and it could bring other Borg here. And I just don't really think so. But in fairness, like she's very democratic. She says, Chakotay says, what do you think? Because it's kind of like those, as a lawyer, like don't ask questions you don't know the answer to. And he's like, I think I know that it's a shitty idea and we shouldn't do it. And she's like, okay, well, you let her know. So then I'm trying to remember why. Then Chakotay and B'Elanna are in a shuttle. Where were they going?
They were coming back from the colony
that's right,
because they had fixed their communications relay because that was broken.
It was just the two of them, but Neelix was on the planet with them, but he wasn't on the shuttle coming back. So he's like, I got to stay and do something else.
Left earlier or something.
Yeah, he was on the other shuttle that they have. But then, they had a line in here, and B'Elanna's like, Chakotay's kind of struggling, like, I don't feel so good, whatever. And B'Elanna has this line. She says, all you need is a good thrashing on the hoverball court. My headcanon says hoverball, 24th century pickleball. What do you think? I don't know. I think that should be worth until they prove it differently. I like it. So, and Peter and I are very avid pickleball players. If you haven't listened to the show before, so that's all about me. I did love. So Chakotay goes nuts, shoots Torres,
close range stun, which at least she's half Klingon. So you know.
Sometimes it hurts, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, because sometimes a close range stun can kill you. He beams to the Borg ship immediately. Tuvok and Harry and Ayala, who's like the other security dude who we see 50 times, he's in my key, and one other guy are rooting around looking for him. And eventually Chakotay is going to go over. He's got to push a few buttons so he can execute Riley's plan. But everybody finally catches up with him, but he manages to down Tuvok again with stun, but at a little longer distance. But then I said, Harry got the rare opportunity so many of us never get of shooting your boss and having to be a totally legit thing to do. So
True.
That's totally awesome. But yes, he still manages to activate it. But it also, I said, wow, reactivating one part of the Borg cube didn't end up having no consequences. Like all of these drones popping open, which of course happens because they couldn't have a Borg episode without some drones walking around going, meh, 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 meh. Yep. But they managed to beam everybody back to Voyager. And then the Borg cube blows up. So it's like, cool. But maybe that was something that the new cooperative, which is the voice of Riley and all their pals, I said that sounds like
it is what they did.
Bullshit.
They announced that they were the ones who blew the ship up.
Yeah, they says, hey, sorry, we took over Chakotay, but we are dumping him now. He's fine, and we blew up the Borg ship. Bye, I wrote.
That's basically what they said.
And we get a nice Janeway Chakotay moment at the end, you know, kind of building their friendship and talking about their dynamic and stuff. And but then he drops in like, how long will they stay good by having this kind of power? And I said, we'll never find out because they are never heard from again. So this is a plot thread that just goes by. Sure. But that happens in this show because they're continually moving away from whatever it is happened in this episode is less likely to come back, which is
and that's
why
fine.
It was ridiculous.
Like we shouldn't hear from them again in Voyage.
Especially since they're planet bound. Exactly. I mean, I think we heard from the Kazon way too damn much. I'm like, well, how do these, space rednecks get around in their little shitty stolen ships? They're like, how do they even know how to fix them? But I digress. And that's the end of the episode. So, where did this one land for you rating wise? How'd you feel about it?
I really liked this one. This one really had some interesting things to say about deception and cults or cult behavior, where it's like, here's all these really nice things that we're going to tell you. Oh, we're so amazing and we love everybody, but what we want to do is impose our will upon everyone on the rest of the planet.
Yes,
Great
drink
job.
Kool-Aid. Drink Kool-Aid, Jim Jones. Thank you.
So it's something that has been fairly topical. So I thought it was one of those things, like, it wasn't really a huge thing when the episode came out. But it's definitely more of a thing where people just kind of like, I'm so amazing, and so I'm going to go with these people because they agree with me, and then I should make everyone agree with me. And it's like, no, that's not how humanity works.
Yeah, shouldn't be. People really don't love having your will imposed on them. That's just never worked out.
But I did think it was interesting where it was the whole line of like, she was using all of the things that Chakotay would agree with, like the things of like, oh, we're just like the Federation, we're tolerant, we're this and we're that, and then it's
manipulative,
and then it's like nope, that's not what they're doing at all. So
not happening, baby.
Yeah, so I thought that was good, and yes, they apologized afterwards, but you know what, they got what they wanted. So apologizing from a point of power, not really an apology.
It's very much the classic, it's easier to be forgiven than to ask permission, which is exactly what they did. But it was easy because they didn't have to. What was Voyager going to do? March over the ship and just, now we're going to bomb your settlement. There were no consequences for them. There were no consequences. So, which is also, very true. It didn't end up like, the Branch Davidians or something where, exactly. This one I'd like very much. This was like, so what was your number?
I think I would give this one like a 8.59, somewhere in there.
Yeah, exactly the same, 8.5 or 9 for me. And as I mentioned at the beginning, this was in the kind of season 3 sweet spot where I kind of tuned out after maybe the first 3 or 4 episodes of this season. And then I was out for maybe 4 or 5 months. And so this was right around the time I was coming back. Because this was, Well, then I would have been out for like maybe 3 or 4 months. So this was February. I was starting to come back, or I might have caught this in reruns, to be honest with you. So I might have seen this in the summer. But I felt like it was a bounce back. Like it was maybe from a little creative lull, they were bouncing back, because this was a nice time where we were focusing on our OG characters before 7 of 9 takes over the show, which is the beginning of the next season, which isn't that far away. So they gave Chakotay, who is, I always loved the XO character. Riker is my favorite Star Trek character. We have a segment coming up where we're going to, on this show, where we're going to be talking about best episodes of captains and then best episodes of the executive officer. So we'll be covering great Chakotay episodes. So this one may come up again. Yep. But yeah, this, I like that they gave him something to do. It was great to see kind of the human side of him again, where he gets taken advantage of. It reminds me of Seska, because that's all she ever did was take advantage of him. I really dug this. This was a good one, and I'm glad this was one we ended up choosing. So, all right, let's talk trivia from the episode. Decision to create a Borg episode was and to specifically plug it in during the all-important February sweeps period was made over almost a year earlier when they were making when they were making First Contact. So it influenced a lot of ideas that were pitched to the series after that point. Ken Biller, who also wrote this episode, wanted to bring them back, and we got loads of pitches. Well, I'm sure you did. Coming up with this episode, Ken Biller wanted to make sure the Borg were more interesting than their essential one-note nature of relentlessly pursuing and consuming their enemies. He commented, when you think about the Borg, they're interesting and cool, but they're relentless and just keep coming at you. How do you get under the skin? That was the question that I had to ask. He did some research by reading the First Contact script, which had yet to have been released at that point, so it's pretty cool. This was the last episode to be set inside the Necrid Expanse, which they had been traveling through the events of Fair Trade, but they mentioned that it was did they say it was a month-long trip? Yeah. So you can then pin the 30 days passed between, or 30 days relativistically speaking, passed between this episode and that episode. But the Necrid Expanse gets a call back in that Distant Origin episode with the dinosaurs that can travel at transwarp speed. So this episode debuted a newly designed version of the Borg Cube. The third rendition of that ship designs. The previous two were studio models. And that had been built for TNG by ILM. And this was a CG model, I believe. So yeah, we're really kind of tilting in that direction. And I think they did a pretty fair job. I did note in my notes of the episode that I thought the Necrid Expanse animation of both Voyager flying through it and then the shuttle as well was really great, but we're still stuck looking at it at standard definition, so it still looks pretty shitty, which is just a bummer. And I don't know that it's ever going to bounce back for us. So during production of the episode, Robert Duncan McNeil and crew tried to hide the smallness of the Borg set. He says, I think we disguised that fact and made it seem like it was more this big labyrinth of tunnels, which is impossible. And I noted that too, the big fight at the cold open of the show where the Ensign gets killed off. It's just stage 16 and it's all the same set pieces that you see. So it's tough, but Robbie says they'd walk down a tunnel once by the right of the camera and then we'd cut. And then they go back to the other end and walk it again, obviously from a different angle. So
I've done that before too. So
yeah, exactly. Cut it again. Yeah, it's not like the old westerns where they keep walking by the same rock over and over again. So some footage of the previous physical type of the Borg was used here. Emil Edwin Smith, which I don't know who that is, unfortunately, noted of this installment.
The animator.
Oh, very good. We animated 90% of the visual effects. The other 10 were stock model, which means that there are two different type of Borg that obviously exist somewhat simultaneously, or they evolved, which would make sense because the Borg they're all bits and pieces, so it's going to be different bits and pieces all the time.
Yeah, some obvious examples. Someone's running Windows 10, someone's running Windows XP.
Exactly. Some obvious, literally at that time, right? Some of the more obvious examples are the footage where the Borg cube is reused in the montage sequence where Chakotay links with the former Borg. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The footage is cheap. Both Jerry Taylor and Brandon Braga also thought highly of this episode episodes, citing this installment as one of the highlights of Voyager's third season. I would absolutely agree. Taylor noted, Taylor, R.I.P., I thought our Borg episode in February Unity took an interesting look at that race. Agreed. Braga similarly included the episode amongst a few examples of third season Voyager installments that he thought was good. Ouch. There's just a few that was good out of 26, which you're going to have some duffers, but yeah, they were pretty uninspired. Of this particular segment, he said, I think Unity is a very good example of a Voyager episode as being unexpected and a fascinating premise of the Borg, kind of like a metaphor for the Soviet Union. Now, I didn't really pin it that way, but that's not
It's
bad
one
at
way
all.
to look at it, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, cool. All right, let's move it right along and talk about wrapping up our top 5, bottom 5 of series that have gone by. And we started with TOS, so we've been doing this for several episodes now, but we're wrapping this up with Star Trek Prodigy, which I will admit there's probably people out there who have not seen it due to its scarcity, which I think totally sucks.
Yeah.
This was a show that was on starting, I think, in 2021, running for 2 seasons. So wrapping it up, I don't know. I'm trying to
There was
without
like
looking
a
at
year
it.
gap between.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it aired. So yeah, the first episode was October 28th of 21.
Okay.
And that was season 1. And then it wasn't until July 1st of 24 that we saw season 2.
They bounced around and did some gaps. They split the seasons in half because it was 2 seasons of 20 episodes.
Yep.
But they were 30 minutes each. So really, in a lot of ways, it was
still
2 hour
10
long
episodes.
10s. Yeah, exactly. And this is one of the only series, if not the only series right now, which does not have a streaming home.
It's the
per
only
se.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
even
the only one. So-
even TAS is on Paramount.
Yeah, so you can purchase it on video on demand, which is what I've did. I've got the entire series on VOD, or purchase it on physical media. Which Peter, I think you took it and you ripped it backwards so you can watch it.
I put it on my
digitally.
server. Yep.
Exactly. So so it's a show that is absolutely beloved by many who have watched it. It has stars like Ella Purnell, who's a rising star in live action in a lot of different things, including Fallout. It has our wonderful friend Bonnie Gordon, Aaron Waltke, who has been on our Spotlight program, was one of the creatives on the show. So we have a lot of love for it, and I need to finish watching the damn thing again. So Bonnie, Aaron, I'm sorry. I will. Maybe this will inspire me to go back and continue watching it, but I get distracted. Like, I really want to watch The Simpsons again. So I've had that on my, and again, I had it on in my office while I'm working because I work from home most of the time and I have a TV in my office. So I will have that as in between podcasts and music and that. It's a big rotation. But so I will admit that, a lot of these, we like before went to an IMDb list where there's a ranking of the episodes, and I use that to kind of spurn my remembrance. And then I did watch the first 10 or 12 episodes of that first season again relatively recently, probably after we talked to Bonnie. So some of mine might be a little patchy, and Peter and I might have crossovers, as we frequently do. So this might end up being a little shorter, or it might end up being a little longer. I'm not so sure.
I know that at least my bottom ones are going to be a little interesting because I had a hard time picking them. So
yeah, I bounced around a little bit, and I might have picked one from a bottom one that from like there were a couple of big cliche episodes that some people might have been like, oh, but I really like that one that I really did. And then I had a couple of finales that were 2-parters that I kind of put together as a single segment. So.
Yeah,
we'll take it from there. But Peter, why don't you kick us off? Give me a one of your top 5 likes.
All right. So just to keep us away from topics that we've just been on, I will say season 1, episode 13, All the World's a Stage.
Me too.
This was an amazingly hilarious episode of what would happen if a red shirt in a shuttlecraft from TOS Enterprise crashes on a planet and pollutes the culture.
And it was a existing character, which was great. Because it was Garevik, Ensign Garevik,
right, Ensign Garevik,
who was the son of Kirk's first captain, and it was from the Obsession episode where with the dichronium cloud. Yeah.
So
it was that dude.
But it was
so he had a fate and he dies.
Yeah,
he died back then.
It was really neat how we have like the Enterprisians pull. The episode feels a lot like Galaxy Quest. Where
So
it's
great.
where it's like they're all trying to live the way that they understand Starfleet, and so they're doing like the Vulcan salute messed up with the different fingers, the two.
They were kind of like the Iosians, but not quite on top of shit, where the Iosians imitated the gangster culture of the 1920s.
They were kind of doing the Iosians and Galaxy Quest at the same time.
Yeah, it was good.
Of
Great mix.
note, this was the first time in newer Star Trek that the unadulterated original series look appeared on screen.
Right. Which we also do get in one of the episodes that I'm going to talk about that I liked very much. It's probably one of yours that gave us back.
But this one also had like they eventually needed the Enterpriseans' help to get something done with the ship. I forget exactly what it was. They needed to like move its orbit or whatever because it was in danger. And so the Enterpriseans knew how to use TOS consoles. And so they used the holograms to reorient the Protostar bridge to have TOS consoles. And then they were actually able to control and fly the ship. And I thought that was really, really neat. Because it's one of those moments where this show really, really does love and honor everything that came before, not just the things that people are like, ooh, new shiny. It's like everything.
Right. And it helps, I think, creatively that this was, again, this was on a Nickelodeon, which also obviously are on Paramount Plus, but it's from a different creative family than what was driving Discovery, which
Discovery, Picard, or even Lower Decks, and that was a different team from the live action. So
but even Picard, they showed an image of the updated Connie 1, the way it appeared
in season 3. They did, but that was after this. They showed a classic TOS constitution.
So it's still kind of tilting backwards. So and again, the hope is at the end of Strange New Worlds season 5, which will be on next year, that it'll magically be explained to us how everything then turned into the way things looked in TOS, which I do know. It's kind of stretching things.
I kind of think they're gonna forget about that, but
under the rug. I loved, and this was the season 1.5 finale, so it's episodes 9 and 10. Supernova parts 1 and 2.
I have that too.
A ship porn, because we get this massive star fleet, including the Enterprise E, which does this dance around what Worf alluded to, because he was the captain unseen. At this time, and he said that, hey, it wasn't my fault, that thing that happened to the Enterprise E, which would definitely qualify, because the
computer
Protostar
system completely destroyed. That would work.
The Protostar, the ship that our characters are on, gets hijacked by a lethal program, which then is able to infect all these other Starfleet ships, and they start blowing each other up. But I really like this one because even for a kid's show, we got the big sacrifice play, which I loved at the end, is that hologram Janeway knows that the Protostar has to die for this program to be disengaged. And it's just a lot more straightforward and, to me, emotionally stable and less canonically problematic than the not the Where Brother 4 Out, though. The end of the second season of Discovery, which I can't remember. It has the word brother in it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like my brother's something or other. I can't remember. Yeah. But it was like that one, the Enterprise has all these fighter ships in it and stuff like and then this is the only way we can get rid of Control is to send it to the, into the distant future. Why don't you just blow the ship up, like what happened here? This really was a little bit more emotionally resonant, and it's a damn cartoon.
Well, so the guys who did this show really know how to do that, because like they were some of the guys who helped make this worked on Avatar: Last Airbender, and that has some of the most well done emotional arcs of an animated show, period. Fight me.
Right. I will. Yeah, and again, I will take your word for that because I'm not terribly familiar. But I really like what they did here, without a doubt. And it's again, don't discount a cartoon for not being able to really deliver the goods.
It does a really good job, and I would agree. Like the whole bit with Janeway, the hologram Janeway, and then learning like who new Janeway is, and like that they had to learn to trust Starfleet and all of that. And there's this back and forth of like, oh no, we're gonna shoot everybody, and now we're not gonna shoot everybody. Like there's really kept the tension going through the entire episode. Like this could destroy all of Starfleet. Oh no. So really, really well done. I would say.
Totally awesome. Good deal. All right. Well, let's shift to the frowny face side. You go first. What's an episode you didn't dig on?
Okay. So I picked season 2, episode 7, The Fast and the Curious.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm not surprised because it was
Well, I talked about cliches, and basically most of mine are based around cliches.
Yeah,
that I didn't like.
So this one was just like mind control, people being forced to do races at the whims of an evil computer for reasons that are still not entirely clear.
Right.
And then, and surprise, here's the Kazon. They're back.
That's what I wrote. I said, when a Borg conduit, the summary, when the Borg conduit is used to bump into the Kazon, and I said, let's just take two of the most overused and boring aspects of Voyager and let's jam them together, or maybe we don't do that. Because, it was just like, and again, if Ellie was here, maybe she'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about. But, I just, for most of these that we tipped upon, we're just like, let's do more Borg. Let's do more Kazon, which was the premise of the show, because they were on a Kazon mining colony and they found this Star Trek ship buried in the landfill or whatever. The premise of how the show got started.
Yeah.
And it was like, maybe we could have just left the Kazon. Like, that would have been like a good, it was inside Kazon, and now we're done with it. That would have been great.
Yeah. And I mean, to be fair, the episode isn't terrible. Like, it's not bad. It's a fine episode. There's still some decent character development with Dahl. He has to learn how to not put himself. This is part of his whole arc of he has to learn how to not put himself first. That's like the big lesson that he learns in this season.
Right.
It's like if I want to be a captain, I need to take care of my crew first. And so there's some really good character development here.
Yeah.
But there's just a lot of cliche, and it's kind of like, eh. So that's why it's on my list. Not because it's terrible. It's just like,
Yeah. Exactly. All right. Well, we shared that one, but I'll give one as well. Maybe we'll end up sharing this one as well. If that Ghost in the Machine from season 1.
I do not have that one on there, but
okay, good. Look at that. But again, even just to read the description, and I feel like I watched this one, I'm like, how had that gone awry? I suppose every Trek has to do it since TNG, but no, it's just, do they really need to though?
Yeah.
It's like, and again, some grace is given because again, this is a cartoon for kids, an actual cartoon for kids in a lot of ways, or a way to kind of soft pedal introduce people to the franchise. But that doesn't, to me, make it any easier or enjoyable to watch. Oh boy, it's another reason why holodeck technology should not be used by anyone, because it just takes somebody spilling your pop on it for a console to go, and then it's going to try to kill you.
Now everything's trying to kill you. Yeah.
But I mean, but for that, they did have some fun set pieces. Like some of it was in black and white, and it was this big nightclub scene. That's what I remember. That was kind of cool. But again, yuck.
Yeah.
Just don't give me more reasons why nobody should ever do that. So okay, back to the happy side. Seasons 1 and season 1 5 1.0 finale, Immortal Star parts 1 and 2. Description says it all. When the plan goes awry, the crew has to improvise. And this was when they decided at the end, I think, of the first segment, they're going to get rid of their ratty gear, and they've got a nice replicator there. So now they're wearing Starfleet outfits, even though Dahl still has his shitty boots on, which I think is
continues to wear his shitty boots the entire first season.
His shitty boots could totally be the name of this episode if it wasn't the word shitty. But then and Janeway changes her outfit too, because she was wearing your classic Voyager jumpsuit the whole time, which I thought was pretty cool. Which that seems weird. If she was the hologram there, shouldn't she have always been wearing the most current outfit, kind of like the Doctor? I don't know. I guess it makes her more recognizable.
Yeah, I think they just did it for that reason.
But now they're running off to Tars Lamora, which is the planet from the beginning, the shitty Kazon planet, to finally lay the smackdown on the villains, to put right what's wrong, and it's totally awesome. So it's one of those really rah-rah moments that you always want in any show. Where they have that is the wrap up of the first segment and heading into the second one. So I enjoyed it a lot of boom. I liked it.
The diviner getting his comeuppance is pretty great.
Yes, the comeuppance, exactly. Not that he goes away, because then it turns into
it's not over.
It turns into a whole nother, as they say. So all right, what about you?
All right. I am going to go with a season 2 episode. Season 2, episode 14, Cracked Mirror.
Ooh,
This is
nice.
it's a revisit of a concept that was in Voyager, where you have different timelines on different levels. They had like different time periods, but this one is legit different universes. Where you have like, there's one where the Enterpriseans are running the Dauntless. There's one where Captain Tuvix is in charge of the Dauntless. There's one where Okana again is back.
That's right. Yes, I absolutely love it. I just watched The Rocketeer a couple of weeks ago, so I was reminded about how William O'Campbell, or Billy Campbell, who was obviously O'Connor, then he was in that in 1991. What a great, that's a crime that we don't have something new from The Rocketeer.
Such a great thing. But and then like the last level that they go on is the Mirror Universe, which is just legitimately hysterical. We have Chakotay with like oil goatee because he doesn't actually have one. He has to paint one on his face. We have evil scarred whale in Evil Cetacean Ops, which is, there's just so much hilarious.
Yeah. Oh God, I should go back and watch that episode.
It's such a great, hilarious episode. Like, the sad thing is we don't see like Rock and I think it's Murph. No, it's not Murph. It's Rock and Jenkum are on the Enterprising level. We don't see anything from that other than like the first, like, oh look, here's where we are, and that's it. Because that's where Captain Tuvix is.
So it's just a sight gag, right?
Yeah, it's just a quick gag, and that's it. But the rest of it with the Mirror Universe and all of that is just, it's legitimately hilarious.
Yeah, totally.
Where it's they make all of the jokes, and there's a part where it's like, haha, we've pulled one over on Captain Janeway, and then it's like, haha, did you think that you had pulled one over on me, you stupid non-Mirror Universe people? And it's like, it
was like Speed Racer,
kind of.
the accents.
It was almost like Captain Proton, where it was just,
oh my gosh,
just
that's
so
awesome,
so funny, so ridiculous, but also like, again, understanding that Star Trek has like this fun relationship with alternate universes that you can do interesting things with. Right. So I just really liked how that episode took the concept, was like, what would our characters do with this situation? Go. And then like, and just shenanigans ensued.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. All right. Unhappy time. Back to the bottom 5. I did not really care for the season 1 episode Masquerade.
That's on my list
was
too. Yep.
Oh, look at that. Let's talk about it, shall we? I said, oh, look, Dahl is Wolverine, but also Captain America or Klingon and some shit and all this stuff. Like,
and also
they turn him into this,
and also whatever. Ooh.
Yeah, he's this big science experiment. And I'm like, because again, he's an alien we haven't seen before, but why does that have to mean that he's like the species science experiment thingered? And it's just, it was almost too comic booky for this kind of stuff. It was a little too Marvel Comics, and like, look, he's also Clayface or whatever. It's just like, because he had all these crazy different abilities, but he's also like Jedi-like abilities and all this different shit he's flipping around. And then it just kind of goes away.
Yeah, they take the chip out and it's like, now you're fine again.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't really care for that. I get certainly why it fits in a cartoon for kids, but again, I'm not a kid, so and I'm a Star Trek nut, which is why we do this show. So I looked at it really from that lens, and from that lens, I thought it was a little thin and a little bit of like, monster. They made him the monster of the week, which I just
very much felt like that. Yeah. It was weird, and like, this was another of our Okana sightings. They really like Okana. I don't know why. I mean,
it's very inside baseball for a character that appeared once in season 2 of TNG. So preceding that by 30 years plus. Yeah, what I mean?
I mean, I'm okay with it. I'm fine with Billy Campbell. I like him as an actor.
Yeah,
so it's like,
totally,
there's nothing wrong with it. It's just funny that there's this one-off character who's appeared in Lower Decks twice, and now this like 2 or 3 times, and it's just wild.
Yeah, which is now 4 to 5 times more than he ever appeared in live action. Once versus like 5.
Yeah, it's just hilarious
appearances.
But I would agree. There's just some making Dahl a whole like genetic amalgamation was like, it's an interesting idea. I'm not opposed to it, but it did feel a little gimmicky in this episode.
Yeah,
especially because it really doesn't get revisited ever again.
Yeah, that's what annoys me the most. So it's just like, well, we got to squeeze in an episode. It takes you back to the old, like, well, we need to throw away something. Like what we were talking about with this Voyager episode in our first segment was like, well, we set up a thing that could be whatever, but never again.
Yeah.
And
I mean, there's
yes.
nothing wrong per se with doing that. It's just, it feels that if that's something and it's not like Dahl doesn't still have to deal with the psychological fallout from this, because he does, but we just don't, but like his genetic ability, nothing.
He does it off screen.
Not much happens.
Comes up again.
Yeah. Do we want one more negative for me since we matched here? Or,
oh yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Okay. I will go for. All right, I'm going to go for a season 1 just because, and I'm going to go season 1, episode 11, Asylum.
Oh, okay.
So this is
Didn't have that one.
Yeah, this is when we go to the Federation listening post and meet the Denobulan whose uniform is all out of sorts.
Right. Yeah, he's got the Walmart replicator.
Oh yeah, and he's got like hips in the wrong spot. It's all over the place.
It's one of those like, hey, dress like nobody's looking, because nobody was obviously looking at what this guy was up to.
Yeah. So this is one of those. It's a very cliche kind of episode where it's like we meet a zany dude from the place we're trying to get to, but he's like really forgetful or not with it. And so
he's not with it. He's not hip.
And so it's just one of those things of like, it does happen in kids shows. It doesn't happen as much. It doesn't really happen as much in this one, but this is an episode where it does, where it's like the kids are smart and the adults be dumb. So
right. But of course
this is like the exception in Prodigy. Like it's not very common in Prodigy, but this is the one where it does happen. And it's like, he's a Starfleet officer by himself on the frontier at the height of the this doesn't seem like, I understand in Discovery where there's the one dude in this listening post. It's been out there forever, like the Cylon listening station in the beginning of Battlestar. But like this, it's like he should have a friend or two.
Well, it seems really a bad idea for anybody to be on a long distance space
by yourself.
By yourself, because who knows what you're going to do.
And especially
the guy could die and be like, hey, we haven't heard from Lieutenant Simpson in 6 months. Well, he's been dead for 5.
Yeah, also Denobulans don't sleep, so it's like the man has nothing else to do, which is why he's going a little nutty with all of his different uniform weirdness.
Right.
So it's like,
do something to entertain himself.
Yeah, so it's just not my favorite. And eventually he like figures out who they are and that they have the Protostar and they're not Starfleet because they lied to him. And then he's like, you're not Starfleet. I need to capture you. And then they, zap him and they leave. So that I just wasn't a big fan of that. And as a side note, just because this was one where we got like a hologram and it showed like, here's the Discovery and all of this, like that should still be locked down and no one should know about it. Right. Like no one should know. And you use the Starfleet command logo with the 2-tone Delta. And I hate that so much. So
pick.
Part of why it gets a little bit of a downgrade for me is I don't like that logo. I do not like the 2-tone Delta. It drives me up a wall.
Which Delta are we talking about? The All Good Things one?
No, it's the Delta that was introduced in Discovery, where you have like the one side of it is a different shade than the rest of the Delta itself. And so then they brought that into Starfleet Command, where it's like where like normally Starfleet Command has the big circle and then there's the Delta in the middle, but then they added like the line, the off center line, and they brought that into Picard, and then
it sucks from Discovery.
Well, it's just I don't like I don't like the asymmetry in that logo because it's already asymmetrical, and so just doing that is just weird.
It's like those uniforms with the asymmetrical middle.
I mean, the Monster Maroon is asymmetrical. Asymmetry doesn't mean it's bad. It's just with this one, it just I don't like it, and so that's part of what stuck out to me big time in this episode were just some of those elements. So story and dumb adult cliche aside, it was just like, I don't like those visuals. But
your Starfleet fashion tips run amok.
Yeah.
I loved, and it's funny because it employed cliches that would make you think I hated it, but I love season 1's Kobayashi.
Nice.
Gratuitous cameos, and you had a lot of overdub voices from the actors who had passed away. Nichelle Nichols, obviously Leonard Nimoy. I said I wrote as the Tupac holograms comes to mind, which was a big thing. It was a big thing in the early 2000s. Somebody's concert had a hologram of deceased rapper Tupac, who died in 1996. But yeah, and I wrote it is a bit corny, and anybody that listens to this knows that I don't really jump in with corny. One of my biggest pet peeves with anything related to Star Trek, and this is, send me your hate mail, when somebody is a costumer and makes the Vulcan salute and the character they're portraying is not Vulcan, drives me nuts, because that is not something that happens in Star Trek.
No.
Two humans don't approach each other and greet themselves with the Vulcan salute. Vulcans salute other people with the Vulcan salute. But if I am wearing a costume and I do not have pointed ears, I am not going to be like somebody actually tried to coach me when I was working with a different photographer once upon a time. Hey, do that Vulcan thing. And I said, I'm not going to do that. And my character is not, I'm portraying Commander Riker. He's not a Vulcan. But everybody does it, and it fucking drives me crazy. And I know that's a very unpopular opinion. Sorry. Hashtag not sorry. But yeah, it kind of drives me nuts.
If you're playing
What's that?
If you're playing a specific character, then you got to stay consistent with that character. If you're just being like, here's me wearing a costume and I want to do it because I like the pose, okay, fine. But that's not the same thing as like inhabiting the world.
Right. I guess, and that's how I tend to look at it.
Yeah.
But anyway, boy, I was really off on a tangent then. But
I went off on a tangent on Asylum. So,
yes, this one goes outside. But anyway, I love it. I thought it all scratched the itch. We also got Rene Auberjonois' Odo coming back. So obviously you have and you had some original dialogue, I think, from Gates McFadden as Dr. Crusher. And did we have one other new one?
It was
it just her?
Gates McFadden, because the other ones were Scotty.
In his Monster Maroon, which I absolutely love. It. The Monster Maroon, again, tends to get no real love because it was redesigned for Strange New Worlds, because you feel like, the only place you're seeing it is serious costumers anymore. So it was cool to see it on TV and see it get that respect.
But it was Scotty, Uhura, Spock, and Odo. And Dr. Crusher. So there you go. I think Gates was the only one who had new dialogue.
Yeah, because everybody else was dead, unfortunately. Yeah, but anyway, it was a lot of fun. They did have
a plethora of lines to pull from, and I think most of them came from episodes. I don't think they pulled any of them from because Renee did Star Trek Online. I don't think they pulled lines from there. So
it was all really sourced from canon materials.
Yes, I believe it was.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. So anyway, while it was corny. And it was a training hologram, so it was set on the Enterprise D bridge, which was fun because that placed all the characters except for Beverly out of context. But it really ended up working for me, so I liked it. So
it was
good. Give me a thumbs up. All right, one for you.
Okay, I think we're going to overlap on this other one, so I'll go with episode 1, season 1, episode 12. Let Sleeping Borg Lie.
Oh, we did overlap on that one because that's a thumbs down for me.
But interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can see why you might not like this one.
What I've already said, just cliches.
Yeah, it's heavy in cliches, but the interesting thing about this particular episode is it kind of rolled back some of what Voyager had done with the Borg in a way that I thought was good.
Okay.
So, for context, Voyager, and this is not me hating on Voyager, it's just something that happens when you reuse something a lot. Voyager had a lot of encounters with the Borg, especially in the later seasons, where they were able to defeat them fairly easily. And then also it's and even to an extent in Picard, it's they're scary, but they're easy to finish off,
of course.
And one of the things that I liked about this episode is that they made the Borg scary once again. Mm-hmm. So the Borg are best when they are a force of nature. So I know that we had some lines from Braga up top where it was just it's more interesting to see them more than just their conquering self. It's I like the Borg when they are in an unstoppable force.
The Borg when they're Borgin?
The Borg when they are Borgin hard.
Borgin hard could be a better name for this episode. Keep talking.
Yeah, so the fact that they couldn't stop the Borg, they couldn't off them, and yes, Zero was able to undo an assimilation, which was kind of corny. That's something that I wasn't the biggest fan of, but at the same time, Zero is a Medusan. How do you assimilate an energy being? So seeing how Zero could shake that off, I gave him a pass on that one. But
I didn't, obviously, just because I'm like, come on, Borg, really? Like, break some fresh ground. And I guess we're doing the same episode at the same time for both sides of the fence. But yeah, I just like, because this is 3 or 4 episodes where I feel like they dig into the Borg in this series. Maybe I'm overstating that out of 40 episodes.
They don't. This is really the only one where they deal with the Borg. So I think they reference them, but this is the only time where you actually like see the Borg and fight them.
Yeah.
Fight them.
See me, fight me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, based from that, since we're kind of spinning back into the bad, and you had mentioned, what was the time travel? Oh, the time travel one with the different levels you
Cracked
mentioned?
Mirror. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I took on Time Amok, which was from season 1 as one I didn't love.
It was almost on my list, yeah.
It literally took 2 episodes of Voyager, Shattered and Twisted. Twisted was season 1, Shattered was season 7.
Yeah.
And it was like the time, and it also spoofed it and ended up spoofing tying in with your episode as well, which I think was later. So it was like a predestination paradox where they tied in something retroactively, where it was like the ship fractures in different time periods. It's like, again, as a kid's cartoon, someone who doesn't have any awareness of the fact that they're just ripping off 2 episodes of the series to which they're paying homage is fine. But for me, it's really not fine, because I'm like, come, just take your shovel to another beach. You know what I mean? Don't just, it just kind of drove me nuts. And again, I'm reading summaries, but I remember from watching this, I'm like, oh, this is just not a good, it's not a good use of the time that they have. For more seasoned Star Trek fans like you and I.
Yeah.
For kids, like I said, but again, if it was a bigger hit with kids, maybe the show would still be on. But then again, this was the sacrificial lamb that Paramount gave up as by selling it off.
Well, they also didn't like market it well or anything. So
right.
It's a self-inflicted wound.
Right. Yeah. It's shooting yourself in the foot to go home from Korea.
Yeah.
It was an episode of MASH.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. So so that was my last bad one. Do you have another bad one? I have one more good one.
I have 2 actually bad ones.
2 bad ones. All right. You do a bad one, then I'll do a good one, then you do a bad one, then we're done.
Yeah. So season 2, episode 13, A Tribble Called Quest.
Oh boy. Again, beating the dead horse, right?
Yeah. So this one was just it was a fine episode of trying to give Rock something science-y to do. And then we got a new cute little sidekick out of it because Murph now had feet and was and was somewhat verbal, so we had to get something cute and ridiculous. So it's like, I'm not opposed to it, but it was just, I don't know. The fact that we had a Klingon experimenting on tribbles, and then we had giant, basically carnivorous tribbles that rolled like giant boulders. It was just like,
we're stretching.
Okay. I mean,
yeah.
Again, it's not terrible, but like it's more of a, if I had to have a list of 5 ones that were like meh, this is on that list, because it was just,
and that's what the list is.
Yeah.
And that were meh.
And it was just like, it had lots of good stuff in it. I liked the Klingon character. I liked what Rock had to do, but some of like the tribble nest and everything was just, sometimes there were parts of it where I was just like putting my face down and just being like, oh man, this is ridiculous. Like, it worked. And I'm sure that if I was like 12, it would have been perfect. Well, actually, I don't even know, because I was a massive nitpicker then. So
Me too.
So I don't even know, but it's like, I can see that like someone who doesn't know all the details would find this really, really enjoyable. It's just, for me, it was one of those like, okay,
you're not doing it for me. I took some enjoyment in season 1's Mind Walk.
See, that's on my not so great list if I had to pick one.
Oh, no.
So that covers my last.
And that's where we're wrapping it up?
Well, I have one more good one that we haven't talked about. So.
Okay, so we'll do this and then you finish it with a good one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed because this was the Disney classic Freaky Friday.
It's exactly that.
Where you had Doll swapping in with real Janeway, Admiral Janeway, not Hollow Janeway, who we don't We still have at this point, but it's funny because he's trying to act like her and he just really can't pull it off. And real Janeway's like, what the hell's going on with this? I'm in the weird, purple kid body or whatever.
Yeah.
And
it was what's going on? Ugh.
Yeah, it was silly and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But what was not ticking the box for you?
Oh, for me, it was just super cringy. And I don't do well with cringe.
Even if it's humor cringe, intentional cringe
sometimes is worse for me because I get this like secondhand embarrassment from the characters of like if I was
giving you hives.
If I was in this situation, I would just be like, oh gosh.
I'm not really here right now. You can't see. You go to John Cena. You can't see me.
Now, to be fair, I enjoyed the silliness of this episode, but again, it's like if I had to put something on a list, which I do, that's why this one is on there, is because sometimes the cringe was just too much for me.
It's too much cringe. Oh my god! All right. Well, what's your final happy place?
All right. So my last one, which probably is no surprise, is the season 2 finale, Ouroboros.
Okay.
Because one, it wraps up the show pretty well, even though it has time travel and all of that. Because like time travel is something that's really hard to write well.
Right.
Like legitimately really hard to write well. You've heard me on this you've heard both of us on this podcast bitch about time travel multiple times.
Well, it's just your get out of jail free card that again, it's the trope. It's the never ending trope.
But this one has like the time streams are like the fact that they're in different time periods actually matters. And so when it all comes to a head in this final episode and like we end with like, we have to send the protostar back to the past because we can't mess up the timeline. Because originally you're half sitting there going like, okay, so the protostar was blown up, but now we have it back. Like, is it going to stay? And then we're going to have like this weird thing of, oh, the one that got blown up was an alternate universe version or something. And
why wouldn't it be?
We didn't do that. We actually sent it back to get blown up. And that was how we repaired the timeline. And I thought that was really cool how we had working with Wesley and everybody. We actually showed someone repairing a timeline that had gone off the rails. And so there's just some really, really cool visuals with how it was all resolved that I thought were really, really neat. The ending was fine where we get like Janeway goes to retire and then Chakotay comes and gets her ananyway. Like, you can't retire.
We've got to do a thing.
It then also has the last bit where Jellicoe is head CNC of Starfleet, and then we have the mixed uniforms because of all of the stuff going down on Mars.
We don't have enough they don't have those Walmart replicators.
The thing at the end was a little wonky where it's like we're all using different badges and different uniforms because the energy crisis. Like, okay, that's weird, but they had to explain it somehow because Picard
ship them in from the sweatshops.
Picard did it a certain way, and so then Prodigy was kind of stuck to follow that.
Don't they have a sweatshop planet where it's like they're
Mars had the sweatshop of androids, and then they rebelled and blew it up.
Yeah, they're making knockoff uniforms like they literally did for production of TOS. They were sweatshop outfits. That's where they were sneaking them in. Around union rules. I've read that in one of the books.
Yeah, TOS did a lot of things to try to stay solvent, which was rough.
Try to save a buck, and ultimately, it's funny. Ultimately, it paid off because the show was still produced, and then it became a huge hit after the fact. As the rest is history. But
the finale was a good episode. Had some great emotional payoffs with all the different characters, even like how they got hologram Janeway back, more or less.
Right.
Kept a copy anyway.
We saved you on a flash card.
Yeah, we actually saved you on a flash drive this time instead of in the last finale. Then in the end, they get their own ship, and now they're going off as provisional ensigns. Like, that was a little cliche, but it was like, if we want to do another spinoff, that'd be fun. So it had some stuff that kind of teed it up for possibility, but left the characters in a spot where it's like, you know what? I like this. So it was a solid send off, but with the possibility to do more, which I thought was a good idea. Kind of like the TNG ending. So
leave the door open. The sky's the limit. Awesome. Well, that is the end of this episode, but it's also the end of this segment, which has been awesome. So we've gone through all of the dearly departed shows, the shows that have ended, and given kind of our take. Our next segment too tackle is going to be top 5 episodes. We're going to do segments with the commanding officers, 5 episodes that we loved for Kirk, Picard, Cisco, so on and so forth. And then we'll do 5 episodes that we love of the number ones, your first officer. So Spock, Riker, Kira, so on and so forth. So that's gonna dominate segment 2 for until we run that out, and then I believe we're actually going to restart our big focus on the 2-parters, the season premieres, the season finales, which will take us through a good chunk of the next part of the show. So, but yeah, thanks for tuning in. In our next episode, we will start talking about Strange New Worlds. We'll be covering episodes 1 and 2 with a special guest. I'm always hesitant to mention special guest names in case something goes awry, which happens, like what happened with this. But yeah, look forward to doing that. Peter, where do people find you out there if they want to dissect your take on Star Trek Prodigy?
All right. You can find me around the interwebs at Petrus Aquinas on most social media. Discord is the easiest place, like the Secret Friends Discord or even the Trek Geeks Discord. I think I'm on there now.
Oh, yes. Oh, boy. I had to get on that.
So you can find me there. You can also find me on EL8, Twitch, Discord, and YouTube, where we do Star Trek Adventures games. I think he just repicked up some games, so there's actually some live stuff running. I'm not on it yet, but, you never know. I might make another appearance.
Yeah.
And then you can also find me behind the scenes on Starship Excelsior, and we released a new episode 2 weeks ago. So go check it out.
Jump on that too. I'm bad at jumping. But anyway, you can find me. I do maintain all of the Secret Friends Unite socials. We're everywhere except for X and TikTok, but also my personal socials, which is at the C3, TheCeeThree, where I'm doing fun stuff, being silly, et cetera, et cetera. Did finally sneak in. I'm trying to commit to once a week of my little kitchen chat videos. I dragged April in with me for this one.
I got it
because we talked. Yeah, we talked about the, and again, we're covering general pop culture stuff that doesn't find its way into the other shows. In this case, Netflix's new Little House on the Prairie series, which we absolutely love. So feel free. That's on our YouTube channel and all of my socials and the Secret Friends Unite socials as well. So please check us out. But friends, with that, of course, visit us at secretfriendsunite.com. That's where all of our episodes are for bonus content. Patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. And if you'd like to write in and talk about things that you're enjoying in the Star Trek world, things that you're enjoying in pop culture in general, or maybe just tear us apart for our views on Star Trek Prodigy or any of the other series, secretfriendsunite@gmail.com. We would love to get what Thor referred to as an electronic letter from you, and which we may very well read on the show. We'd love that very much. But with that, friends, as always, thank you for tuning in. I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring, and to keep on trekking.
Peace and long life.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.